for a start, let's be honest, what about those commentaries here on talkSPORT? Absolutely outstanding, really, really brilliant. And we are now just 2 days away from that final, 5 o'clock on Sunday, England against Spain. Remember, meanwhile, you're listening to White and Jordan on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. It's where the trade go. To help us look forward, and we'll be doing a lot of this over the next 50-odd hours here on talkSPORT. We're joined by, of course, one of the voices of our football coverage, Courtney Sweetman-Kirk. Hello, Courtney.
Hello, good morning to you both.
It's lovely to see you. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. I say see you now because I could only hear her in the past, but now I can see her on the screen in front of me. Courtney, before we get into the individual bits and pieces of the game, it struck me as I was thinking about the match last night that this is becoming the great rivalry in women's football, isn't it? England and Spain.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I think it's the one that sort of I myself predicted before the tournament as that would be the final, along with many other people, I imagine, because as you say, the last few years the how Spain have built this side, obviously winning the World Cup, and the same with England, the fact that obviously they're Euros holders, got to the World Cup final, were beaten by Spain. So yeah, it's definitely a rivalry that's getting better and better, and obviously England from that perspective will be hoping that they win the battle this time.
For people like me who I don't need to sell the match, of course, but who are paid to sell the match, it's the holders against the favourites. Are Spain still favourites in your mind, given we're now down to a one-off match, Courtney?
I would still say so. I think throughout the tournament they've put in some wonderful performances. I mean, you could argue that they've had an easier route than us, but I think they've looked more comfortable throughout the tournament. Although a little thing I will say to that is I think a lot of people watching the Germany game, specifically the Lionesses fans, looked at that Spain-Germany game with a little bit of happiness. The fact that Spain didn't blow Germany away. They've shown that Spain, there's still some places to be exploited, especially in that back line. It's quite slow, and we've got pace in those areas. So I would still say that Spain are the favourites with the bookies. I mean, maybe you'll be able to tell me, but I think it's going to be a great game. Two nations that are in a very good place, going toe-to-toe, looking to obviously win the Euros, and England looking to retain it.
Courtney, in boxing terms, how do the two teams match up? How similar are they in styles, or how different are they in style and what they're trying to achieve?
Yeah, I think they're quite similar in styles. I think it's something that England have certainly improved on through Sarina Wiegman's reign in terms of being a possession-based team. And Spain are certainly that historically, whether it's men's or women's, they all have that philosophy of being possession-based. So what I will say with that is very similar, but I think maybe England have got a little bit more adaptability. They have got that ability to go a bit longer, as I mentioned, to use our pace that we've got in areas and go a little bit longer at times. And I think we've got a little bit more of a physical presence. And, a lot has been said. There's sort of a phrase that's come out of this tournament for England in terms of that English way. So I think we've got a little bit more of those dark arts and that physical presence. But both teams are teams that want to possess the ball, like to control the game by having the ball.
What about the teams? I mean, you're not picking them. What do you feel? Many changes from the England semi-final team? Because Wiegman's not been afraid to make changes when she's had to.
Yeah, I think she normally makes them from the bench, though. I think that's the thing. There's been very sort of little changes, like one or two. Don't think she's made two actually to an 11, but she's tweaked it around. But those actual changes to the 11, I'm not entirely sure she'll do that. I keep clambering to say Chloe Kelly should be starting. I said that for the semi-final, and I think the same for the final. She's showed when she's come on, she's got such a great attitude to obviously come and impact the game. But I think she can do that from the start as well. I know a lot of people as well are speaking about Michelle Agerman, but personally now I still think she's the sort of ability and presence that has more of an impact from the bench, and especially because she's young. It's her first major tournament. How she would cope from being in from the start, I'm not too sure. Would it overawe her? I mean, she might take to it like a duck to water, like she has to everything else in this tournament, but I think Chloe Kelly's got that experience where if you put her in from the start, you exactly know what you're getting.
Why do you think that she doesn't, Courtney? I mean, these two girls, Chloe and Michelle, have come on and rescued England in 2 games, and at some point they're going to play against an opposition that are in control of a game and don't allow that control to be relinquished. So why do you think Sarina doesn't change the formation or change the personnel, not the formation, the personnel, given that these players are so effective when they come on?
Yeah, I'm not sure, Simon. I think there's two sides to it, because in one space people will go, well, you know, she's making the changes, she's making the substitutions, they're coming on and making an impact, so she's doing the right thing. But you can argue it the other way, and that's some of the position that I'm on at times, where I think, well, if you start a different team, then you might not have to get to a point where you're looking for a goal in the 96th minute to try and get through. So, yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know whether it's loyalty, whether it's the philosophy that Sarina has. I think I spoke to her actually before at the Euros, when she wasn't, sort of the last tournament, when she wasn't making many changes at the World Cup, and I said, is that your philosophy? And she said, no, that's not necessarily my philosophy in keeping it the same, but it's almost that's how I see it. But, you know, the more time goes on, the more it looks like a philosophy to me and a loyalty to certain players. So I've got to sit down with her a little bit later, actually, so maybe it's a question to ask.
If Sarina Wiegman wins this tournament, I suppose if she loses it as well, will she have done all she can with England, Courtney? And what will the future hold for a person who's been, well, since she got the job, virtually, you know, completely successful getting teams into finals?
Yeah, I mean, I think the FA were very strong on saying, and Mark Bullingham saying yesterday, that they want to keep her. She is, you know, she's a fantastic in terms of what she's done for the women's game, how she's progressed the Lionesses. I think you know, if she wins it again, it almost gets more difficult for her, doesn't it? Because the expectation then raises again, and they're going into every tournament at the minute with the Lionesses thinking they have to, you know, they have to win it. That's the outside perception, and that will only increase. But I think she's a manager that will rise to that challenge. So if she wins the tournament, if she doesn't, I personally don't see any changes. I think her contract is till 2027, if I remember rightly, and I think she will continue to the end of her contract as Lionesses manager.
Okay, well, our job is to analyse football, but predicting it is a mugs game. But I'm going to ask you to do it, Courtney. What does your head and your heart say the result might be on Sunday?
Yeah, of course you are. You're asking me to put myself in that position. I think, you know, my head says Spain, I'll be honest, and I've said that through the start of the tournament. Obviously, my heart wants it to be the Lionesses, but it's going to be, I think, a close-run game. I think it's probably a goal either way, let's say 2-1. But let's go with my heart today and say 2-1 Lionesses and retaining the Euros.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed. As we saw, thank Courtney Sweetman-Kirk there. As we saw in both teams making the progress they have done, neither of them are defensively impregnable. So she's right, there will probably be goals for both sides. Looking forward to it hugely. Someone here, Simon, just turned on talkSPORT. I had to check on my calendar what day it is. Can someone please take Simon's temperature to check he's okay? A 5-day week is unheard of.
Indeed.
That's your mate Chris in Shropshire.
Oh, very good.
And just making sure you're okay there, Simon. Okay, Newcastle callers, you know the number. It's 03717 223344. There's a million things we can talk about. Why is it that Newcastle are not getting the players they want? Is there something stopping them from becoming the elite club that some people say they're not? Just get your views on all of this. 03717 223344. What should they do to keep Alexander Isak, or is there a point when they have to sell him? That's next here on talkSPORT.